Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Irish Abroad Show. It's a busy week for us all here at Irish Football Fan TV. So Gary Spain has happily and very kindly stepped in to take Jer's place today. Paul Tierney is obviously my name as well, usual co-host. Gary, how are we? You've been on the show before. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, all good. Looking forward to it, Paul. Yeah, and love discussing how our players are getting on around the world.
Yeah, definitely. Completely agree. We'll crack on straight away anyway. Double game week in the Premier League. Obviously, a couple went wayward due to COVID, but still a lot of Irish involvement. Actually, more Irish involvement than usual, especially in the midweek games. We'll start off on the weekend. A game that was live on Sky as well. The main game on Sunday, Seamus Coleman was captain of Everton as they were beaten 3-1 by Crystal Palace on Sunday. The Liverpool Echo gave the Donegal man a 4 out of 10 rating, saying he dealt with the threat of Wilfred Zaha well on occasion, but the influential winger was still able to cause a lot of threat down the Everton right, while the fullback couldn't really get forward too often. Made a shocking mistake in taking a quick free kick for the third goal. I don't know if you saw the game, Gary, but it was the Conor Gallagher show, really.
It was, yeah, very much so. The Conor Gallagher show. Someone, of course, who we've been chasing for Ireland for many years. He's obviously eligible. I think he's still eligible, even though he's an England international now. Don't think he's played, but I mean, realistically, I think he's gone, and he's definitely another one that got away because a hugely talented player, and. I know Palace have him on loan for the rest of the season, and they're very lucky to that extent. But I don't think there's any way they're going to be able to hold on to him. Yeah, definitely another one that got away. Wasn't one of Seamus's better games. Yeah, it can be a bit harsh for the third goal, but that was in the depths of injury time, and Everton were chasing a point. So I would never really be critical of someone making a mistake at that juncture when they're trying to grab an equaliser. I mean, you may as well lose 4-1 as 2-1, and the game was done. You take all your risks. Your keeper goes up for corners, etc. At that point, you've nothing to lose. So, but it wasn't one of Seamus's better games, and I do understand he's injured and out for tonight as well. So maybe he was carrying a knock at that stage as well.
Yeah, you wouldn't know. You mentioned Conor Gallagher as well. He is one that got away, but hopefully he does get an opportunity at Chelsea. I know normally the young lads don't get an opportunity at Chelsea, but in the last few years, a couple of them actually had. So maybe it will come good for him when he does return after the second half of the season with Palace. Hopefully the second half of the season goes well for him, and hopefully Everton's form can upturn. Obviously they beat ourselves on Monday, but we've come back well with 2 wins. But they were very good on Monday, and they just didn't perform on Sunday, to be honest.
Yeah, it's a funny one. Everton had been on an awful run, and I saw that Monday night game, and they were excellent. I mean, the couple of goals that VAR. I mean, okay, I know they make the right decision, but they were incredibly marginal. And it must have been very frustrating for the other Paul on this channel watching it. And then it all came right for Everton at the end with those 2 late goals. But yeah, I thought they fully deserved that win. They played really well. And coming off a run of terrible performances against the likes of Watford and Liverpool, etc. And but it went wrong for them again on Sunday. They were well beaten by Palace, and I was much more impressed by Palace. But Arsenal have bounced back, with a couple of good wins into the top 4. So looking good at this point, Paul.
Pressure. This is the latest they've been in the top 4 in years, which is I don't know how to feel about it. We mentioned Everton as well. They have Chelsea tonight as well. Chelsea away, not an easy task.
No, and it'll be very difficult. Now, Chelsea aren't exactly hitting the heights either. They've been struggling for form in recent weeks. But you got to imagine it's going to be very difficult for Everton to go there and get anything. Yeah. Particularly, I've read that Seamus Coleman is out through injury, and I think Richarlison is out as well. So, and Andros Townsend. So, I imagine it'll be very difficult for Everton tonight.
A hard day at the office potentially incoming for Everton.
Rafa back at Chelsea as well won't go down too well. He was never warmed to by the Chelsea fans. No, I mean some of his comments when he was Liverpool manager. I'm surprised actually. He seems to have won over a lot of the Everton fans, but when you've managed, and he is an excellent manager, and I know he did really well at Newcastle as well, but you make enemies at rival clubs, and it's very hard to turn around then and manage them.
Yeah, I think the fact of with Chelsea as well is that they played each other so much. Them and Liverpool, like every year they'd play 4 or 5 times, whereas you only play twice in the league. They were meeting in cup competitions, particularly in the Champions League as well. One year they were in the group stage together, which is nuts to think about.
Yeah, when Liverpool won, there was no country protection the year Liverpool won it, and they had to be parachuted into it. The other thing Rafa did, he criticised the Chelsea fans when he was Liverpool manager, and that's not going to be forgotten. He was on about waving plastic flags, etc., and they were just lying in wait for him once he got the Chelsea job. So.
Yeah, definitely. We'll move on from that anyway. More Irish involvement on Tuesday night as Adam Ida came on for the final half an hour as Norwich were beaten 2-0 by Aston Villa at home. He got a 3 out of 10 rating from Norfolk Live, came on for Cantwell and played a couple of misplaced passes, directed Gilmore's cross at goal with a header, but an easy save for Martinez. Actually saw that last night. He probably could have done a tiny bit better. And Andrew Omobamidele missed out on the matchday squad due to a lower back injury. Norwich crippled with COVID at the minute. Another club crippled with COVID, but they've had to play on. A bad result for them at home. Probably one they'd be looking to get a result from.
Yeah, it did seem that things had turned around a little bit with Dean Smith going in there, but that was a bad defeat. Now, having said that, Steven Gerrard has gone in and really hit the ground running in Aston Villa. I think he's a really good manager, and I think he will manage Liverpool one day. But he seems to have done a really good job there as well. And it's very, very hard to see Norwich stay up. It was a good chance for Adam. Unfortunately, it sounds like he didn't really grab it, but it is good to see him getting some game time. It's a bit frustrating for Andrew Mbamidele because, again, with the injuries and with COVID, etc., he'd probably be playing regularly. He might be playing regularly with them anyway because he was doing so well. So hopefully, I think he's due back, if not before Christmas, shortly after Christmas. So hopefully he'll be back in the team and get some game time. For Adam, I think he's going to need to start putting in performances and finding the back of the net. But for Norwich in general, it's very, very difficult to see them staying up at this point.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. And you mentioned Andrew as well. Like even now, I know Grant Hanley went down injured on Saturday against United. He's going to be out. Ozan Kabak had a knock as well. I mean, the only fully fit centre-half there at the minute is Ben Gibson, so he'd definitely be getting an opportunity if he was fit, like you said.
Yeah, and it's really frustrating. I know I think he had COVID and he's picked up the knock and everything. And it's frustrating when you know he would be absolutely guaranteed to start and get 90 minutes. And hopefully he'll be available soon.
Yeah, hopefully so. We'll move on to to Wednesday night, last night's games. Anyway, there's a load of Irish involvement and a load of young lads getting an opportunity on the benches as well. Aaron Connolly got I think it's his first start of the season, maybe, for Brighton in their 1-0 home defeat to Wolves. And Evan Ferguson was on the bench for that game for Brighton as well. Disappointing result, but good to see Aaron get a bit of time and good to see Evan on the bench as well.
Yeah, so it was great to see Aaron get a start. I don't think he did that well. He was hooked after about an hour. I didn't actually see the game now, so apologies if I'm not being fair here.
I saw. Sorry, Gary, I don't mean to cut across. I saw the highlights. I mean, there wasn't you can never really tell with 10-minute packages, but like Wolves seem to be kind of dominating it. Brighton are very shot shy at the best of times, so I don't think it's a good reflection on Aaron. Plus, he doesn't get that many goals anyway, so
Yeah, so but it's a bit frustrating. But hopefully he'll get more chances to impress because I think certainly we need him back. For the national team anyway. I know we don't have a game for 3 months or so, but it would be nice to see him get more game time and get back. Evan Ferguson is it's a great story. I mean, he's still only 17. I know he was playing for Bow. It's ridiculous. He was playing for Bows at 14. And I suppose we're at the stage, and I think I look, it's no secret we desperately need strikers, and he's probably the next great hope for Irish football. He almost became a Premier League player last night. I think hopefully he will get a chance. I mean, again, with all the injuries, with COVID and everything, if he can stay fit and COVID-free, Brighton have a lot of games coming up. So hopefully he will get a chance at some stage. And well, I don't want to get too carried away because he's only 17, but he's already in the under-21 squad. He already looks a real player. And he obviously comes from the Ferguson family with great footballing pedigree as well. So he will have, look, the likes of Barry and everything will make sure he has his head screwed on properly. And look, I'm just hoping he's going to be the striker that we need for years to come.
Yeah. And I actually saw a tweet from Paul Gammon saying he actually played with his dad, Barry, and he said he feels really old now that Evan was on the bench at such a young age. So, I mean, if he feels, I feel young, I feel old half the time, and I'm only 25, so I don't know how he feels about it, to be honest. But yeah, mad stuff, but great for him. And as you mentioned, there's a load of games coming up. Obviously, we have the Stevens Day fixtures, then Brighton will probably be on the 28th or the 29th as well, and then New Year's Day as well. And then the FA Cup third round is at the best time of the season for Arsenal is when the FA Cup comes around. So I'm looking forward to that. And I'm sure the young Irish lads will be looking forward to it as well as the likes of Adam Ida as well. He'll definitely get an opportunity in the Cup, which he actually scored a hat-trick in a few seasons ago as well.
That's right. Yeah, that hat-trick he got was, we thought, we've got a star and he's going to get a run, but it didn't really work out for him so well after that, but hopefully now he can get some game time and get a chance to show what he can do.
Yeah, definitely. And for the rest of them as well, as you said. We have two more involvements from last night. Armstrong Oko Flex was on the bench for West Ham against Arsenal last night. A big win for the Gunners. And he didn't get on, but look, good to be involved anyway in the matchday squad. And it's good that he's in David Moyes' thoughts. Obviously, they're going to have a load of games after Christmas as well with the Europa League too.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's great to see he's around the squad, mixing with the squad, and as you say, in the manager's thoughts. And he should, if he can stay fit and COVID free, then hopefully he can get a chance.
Yeah, definitely. And one more from last night as well. Will Smallbone played 70 minutes and Shane Long played 20 minutes in Southampton's 2-2 draw with Crystal Palace. Shane Long actually had a chance when he came on straight away, header. He didn't do well with it. I think he put it over the bar. But look, good to see him getting back in. He hadn't been in the last while. Good to see him getting even substitute appearances. It's actually his 150th appearance as a substitute in the Premier League, is what I heard last night.
Okay.
Probably not a stat you want, but it's a stat. And look, Will Smallbone getting the start as well. Important stuff for the Irish lads.
Yeah, I think Shane has definitely reached a stage where he's probably seen as this dreaded word impact player, and he's probably had been there for a while. And but that has its benefits as well. So hopefully he can just get some game time and make an impact off the bench. Great to see Will Smallbone getting a start. He has a real talent. Again, saw him again there for the under-21s against Sweden there last month, and hopefully he can get some game time in the Premier League and get back in the senior squad.
Yeah, definitely. That's what they're all looking forward to anyway. We'll just briefly talk about tonight, just mention, obviously we spoke about Everton their way at Chelsea. Seamus Coleman looks like he's going to be out of that one. Spurs back from their COVID troubles against Leicester City tonight as well. Matt Doherty may be involved in that. We don't know. We don't know how bad the COVID situation is. We don't know who had it. So we don't know whether he'll be involved or not. And Newcastle make the daunting trip to Anfield. Kieran Clark and Jeff Hendrick both involved there. I'm not sure if Clark is back from suspension yet. He might be. Do you know yourself?
I don't know, Paul. I'm not sure actually. Yeah.
There's so many games in a row. God knows.
Yeah.
And then Jeff Hendrick hasn't been involved at all the last one. He might get some time tonight because of the amount of games that's happening. But tough games for all the Irish lads tonight.
Yeah, very tough. I mean, it's very, very difficult to see Newcastle get anything at Anfield. You would expect Liverpool to win that comfortably enough. Likewise, as we said, I think Seamus Coleman is out tonight, but it'll be very difficult for Everton as well at Stamford Bridge. You never know. I mean, Chelsea maybe not playing as well as they were a few weeks ago, but Liverpool are certainly hitting the heights, and playing really well in Europe and in the Premier League. So,
yeah.
It'll be a difficult night if any of the Irish do get on the pitch.
Definitely, and I think with Liverpool as well, they're not conceding goals either. So even if Newcastle have a chance, they're going to have to take it. Like if they get a chance, God knows if they do or not, but they probably won't. Knowing Anfield and knowing Arsenal going to Anfield, I don't see it being much better for Newcastle anyway. We move on into the Championship anyway. That's the Premier League done. We start off with the weekend. Ryan Manning. We'll start off with Swansea. Ryan Manning and Michael Obafemi played. Ryan Manning played the full 90 and Michael Obafemi played 36 minutes as Swansea were hammered by Nottingham Forest 4-1. Swansea were at home. Swansea were at home on that. Sorry, I'm reading someone else's notes here, so it's a bit confusing. Mark McGuinness continued his good goal-scoring form. He scored the second game in a row as Cardiff drew 2-2 with Birmingham City. It's his third of the season in total. Scott Hogan and James Collins also played in the contest for both sides there. Callum Robinson got his first goal for West Brom since August by getting the winner in their 1-0 win over Reading. Important for him because he hadn't been playing well for West Brom the last while. He also picked up a yellow card, and Jason Malumbi also got the 90 minutes for Albion on Saturday as well. Alan Brown scored the opener in Preston's 2-1 win over Barnsley. It's his first goal of the season. Surprised with that one, actually. Usually gets a couple of goals, taking penalties and stuff, etc. Sean Maguire also played 69 minutes of this game for the home side. Dan McNamara got a caution and scored an own goal as Millwall lost 2-1 to Peterborough. Sammy Schmodix, Jack Taylor and Connor Coventry all played for the Posh, and they ended their 7-game winless run. A big win for Peterborough there, and good to see the three Irish lads getting time on the pitch. Sean McLaughlin from Hull City and Callum O'Dowd from Bristol City both played 90 minutes as it ended 2-2 between the two teams. Jason Knight helped Derby to a vital 1-0 win over Blackpool, while Aaron Cashin was introduced as a late substitute to make his debut for Wayne Rooney's team. Richard Keogh also came off the bench for the away side to make his first appearance in over 5 weeks after recovering from injury. And an interesting one that he comes back against the side who sacked him all those years ago as well, Gary.
Yeah, and I mean, we've talked about that before. That was a disgraceful decision. I mean, he was the guy in the back of the car, and they kept the driver.
The driver who was
purely down to money. And it was purely down to money that Richard was obviously in his 30s and on a good contract, and they wanted him off the books, and the younger players. Anyway, look, we've talked about that before, but it was absolutely disgraceful, and Derby County went way down in my estimation then, and I've no sympathy for them having all those points deducted, and they're probably heading for League One now, you know.
Yeah, it looks inevitable anyway. Before we continue with the rest of the Championship, we'll just mention one important note. Callum Robinson getting his first goal for West Brom since August. He hadn't been playing well for them. He'd been in and out of the side. Had got a couple of assists, but it's not really enough considering how good his form was in October for us.
Yeah, great. And even in November as well. So it's great. It's great to see him get on the score sheet. And West Brom have been on a very, very good run as well. And they could still catch the top two, Bournemouth and Fulham. Bournemouth are wobbling a bit, but I know that's bad for other Irish players. But West Brom could yet still get automatic promotion and have a great chance, actually, I think. They're one of these yo-yo teams. I was talking about Norwich earlier, and West Brom are probably something similar, that they could well go back up to the Premier League and probably struggle to stay there again. Yeah,
it's the same with the likes of Fulham as well. Mitrovic looks a great player in the Championship, but he's already got 22 goals. But when it comes up to the Premier League, like he gets a couple of goals, but he can't make that step really. I suppose that's the thing with some of those players.
I know, and he doesn't look good in the Premier League, but he looks fantastic for Serbia. And I mean,
he does.
He got the goal that sent him to the World Cup, and in many ways, he was keeping 100 million. Vlahovic was valued at 100 million, and Mitrovic was keeping him out of the Serbian side, and probably because he's playing so well for Serbia. So if he's able to do it really well at the Championship, he's able to do it top quality international level. It can be surprising he doesn't maybe look as good in the Premier League, because if you look at him for Serbia, you kind of think he could be playing for a really big club.
Yeah, definitely. Anyway, we'll move on. You mentioned Bournemouth. They were beaten 2-0 by Blackburn. Darragh Lenihan's Blackburn. He captained Blackburn on Saturday as well. It's, I wouldn't say a surprise. Blackburn have been going fairly steady the last while, and Bournemouth, as you mentioned, have been wobbling. So it was always going to be a tough game. Robbie Brady made his first start for Bournemouth since signing nearly 2 months ago, and he completed the full 90 minutes. It's the first one he's had since January the 16th when he was playing for Burnley against West Ham, which is good stuff. Mark Travers also lined out for Bournemouth in that one as well. That's the last bit of information. Big win for Blackburn, but as you mentioned, Bournemouth wobbling at the minute.
Yeah, and Blackburn aren't that far away from automatic promotion as well. And Darragh Lenihan probably feel a bit frustrated he hasn't got a chance with the national team because he's playing really well in a side that's in form. Yeah, Bournemouth have been wobbling. They'd started the season so well, like an express train. And we talked about Mark Travers the last time I was on this show. He'd been playing exceptionally well, keeping a number of clean sheets at the time. But they have wobbled a bit lately. They have dropped some points, late goals, etc. So, but great to see Robbie Brady get a full 90 minutes. And if he's back fit, I think he'll make a big difference for Bournemouth and hopefully for the national team as well. If he can get a run of games over the next few months, I'm sure he'll be back in Stephen Kenny's squad.
Yeah, definitely. We'll move on into League One anyway. That's the championship wrapped up. No midweek games this week. League One will start off with Portsmouth. Marcus Harness was on the score sheet as they beat Morecambe 2-0 at home. It was his 10th goal of the season, his 9th in the league, which is great going. And 4 clean sheets in 5 games for Gavin Bazoon.
Yeah, so it's amazing the number of goals Marcus Harness is scoring, and he may well get his chance yet. Gavin Bazoon, who has just been, I didn't see the game, but I saw the saves, and he was absolutely superb. I mean, a couple of top drawer saves again. And what can we say about him? He's just superb and far too good for League One. And for me, I think he should be back in the Premier League as if not at Manchester City, certainly at another club, because he's just been absolute quality for club and country.
Yeah, definitely, I agree. Another bit of information. Mark Sykes got the winner for Oxford as they beat MK Dons 2-1. They were away from home there. It was the 6th goal of the season, and Troy Parrott got an assist for MK Dons, and that it was his first start in nearly 4 weeks. Obviously, I think he had an injury. He definitely had a knock anyway, and then I think he got suspended as well for a red card maybe. But good to see him back. Disappointing result for MK Dons, and Mark Sykes on the score sheet again.
Yeah, it's good to see Troy back. And I was talking about Evan Ferguson. Troy is probably the other great hope to be the striker for the future. And hopefully he gets some regular game time and starts banging in the goals. Yeah, Mark Sykes, he was a very controversial one in that he declared for us. He played for under-21s for Northern Ireland. He's from West Belfast, but as he said, he actually said he'd rather 1 cap for the Republic than 50 caps for Northern Ireland. And 6 goals. Maybe he is worth a look. He hasn't had a look in yet for the senior squad, but I appreciate it's League One, but we have other players in our squad from League One, so maybe he's worth a look.
Yeah, definitely. That wraps up League One anyway. Actually, a lot shorter League One than usual for us anyway. There's usually tons of stuff going on in League One. A bigger League Two than usual now. I'll just run through this and then we'll have a bit of a talk about it at the end. Start off with Stephen Ward, former Irish international, got an assist in Walsall's 3-0 win over Colchester. It was the 2nd of the season. Jamie Bowden got 2 assists as Oldham were involved in a 10-goal thriller, drawing 5 all with Forest Green there. I'm pretty sure Forest Green were 5-2 up at one stage in that as well. They're top of the league as well. They'd be disappointed with that one. That brings his goal involvement up to 5 for the season, Jamie Bowden. Ex-Derry City player Stephen Mclaughlin got the winner as Mansfield beat Salford City 2-1. It's the 2nd goal of the season and his first involvement in total. Trevor Clark, Bristol Rovers, and Corey O'Keefe, Rochdale both got assists as the former beat the latter 4-2. And Niall Canavan received a straight red card as Bradford City drew 2-2 with Sutton. Good to see Stephen Ward in the score sheet. Been a while since I've heard of him, actually.
Yeah, it's me too. It's good to hear of him. I mean, obviously international days are done, but good to see, you know.
Yeah, and Trevor Clark as well, another one who I haven't heard of in a while. There's a few Irish lads at Bristol Rovers, including Glenn Whelan as well.
Yeah, it's. I suppose they've gone off the radar a bit, but that's great to see.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I think it's probably Glenn Whelan. I think about it. Joey Barton would have been his mate at Man City as well, looking at it. So yeah, look, long may it continue. That man is never going to retire. I don't think he's like Wes
Look,
Hewland. They're never going to
I've
retire.
always been a huge fan. He was such an underrated player for us, and he did such a job. And yeah, I'm just so happy for him, and long may he play on.
Yeah, yeah, he probably doesn't want to stop, to be fair to him. We go to Scotland now anyway. Always a lot of involvement in Scotland, particularly with St Mirren, who we start off with here. Joe Shaughnessy grabbed a late equaliser for them as they drew 1-1 with Hibs. Charlie Dunn, Alan Power and Jamie McGrath also started for Jim Goodwin's outfit, while Conor Ronan came on as a sub. Johnny Hayes was part of the Aberdeen side that made it a hat-trick of victories after overcoming St Johnstone 1-0 there. Ryan Sweeney played every second of Dundee's 3-2 defeat to Ross County. Jake Carroll started his first game for Motherwell since late August. They were beaten 1-0 at Celtic Park. Ryan Sweeney was sent off for 2 yellow cards in Dundee's 1-0 defeat to Hibs. Jake Doyle Hayes played 79 minutes for the opposition there. That was on Tuesday evening. And last night, Liam Scales continued his good form. He got an assist as Celtic beat Ross County 2-1 late on last night. Liam Scales starting to get into the side, starting to do well. Played against Betis last week as well.
It was great. Yeah, he started in Europe, and now he's started. I think that was his first start in the Scottish Premier League as well. And as you say, he got an assist. It was a good cross. I actually saw the goals for that, and they said very, very late. I think it was in the 7th of the 6 added minutes that winner came. So it was a crucial goal. But great to see Liam Scales playing, and hopefully he gets a run in the side then. And if he's playing regularly, look, I've talked about the Scottish Premier League before, but I mean, I think you really need to be standing out in that league to get in the squad. But particularly if you're playing with one of the top two, as in Celtic and Rangers, you have to be in Stephen Kenny's thinking as well. So hopefully he will get a run in the side as well, and it's great for him because I've seen a lot of him with Shamrock Rovers. He's a really, really talented player and a really good guy, and I think he will, if he gets his chance, he'll grab it with both hands.
Yeah, definitely, completely agree. Obviously, with a lot of games coming up as well, you mentioned they're still in Europe, Celtic. I mean, if he is going to get called up, a lot of it might depend on whether he is starting in Europe. I know it's in the Conference League now, but if they could get a run in that, like, it would be hard to leave him out, because it is Europe, regardless of what you think. Like, Matt Doherty might still be playing in the same competition, and he's going to be a shoe-in if he's fit. So if you look at it that way, he probably should be in.
Yeah, I imagine. I don't think Spurs are going to be still playing in that competition.
Neither do I.
I imagine UEFA.
You never know with UEFA. You saw what happened on Monday with the draw. You never know.
Yeah. You never know. But I think Tottenham have been incredibly lucky with what they've managed to pull, and stunts, etc., and COVID. And I don't want to get into it too much, but I think other clubs can feel a bit aggrieved. And I can't see you. I look. I think Vitesse will be put into the next round, and that's the way it should be. And I mean, Tottenham. It seems like Tottenham cancelled the game themselves, and certainly they couldn't agree a new date with Rennes for that fixture. So it would be very harsh to punish Vitesse for that. I think the conference is actually that Conference League is a great chance for clubs. And in some ways, it was the short straw in that if you finish second in the Europa League, okay, you stayed in the Europa League, but you end up playing a team coming down from the Champions League. Whereas if you finish third in your Europa League group, you go into the conference, and it's still a European trophy. And the sides are significantly weaker in many cases. And I mean, if you look at the Rangers, finished second in their Europa League group, they've now drawn Borussia Dortmund coming down from and frankly, Borussia Dortmund are almost certainly going to win that tie. Whereas Celtic went down into the conference, and they've got Bodo Glimt, the Norwegian champions. Now, not an easy tie by any means, but a much more winnable tie, and the potential is there. There's a lot of there are some strong clubs from some of the bigger leagues, but there's a lot of weaker clubs there as well. And there is the potential in that Conference League to go on a real run and go a lot deeper in Europe, pick up more prize money. And it seems a bit of an anomaly to me that it would have actually, I think you would have been better off to have finished third in your Europa League group and gone down to the conference than finish second, come up against a team dropping down from the Champions League and make an exit.
Yeah, you make a good point there, especially with the stature of clubs who've dropped into the Europa League this year as well. The likes of Barcelona, you mentioned Dortmund. I mean, Haaland is on fire. That guy is just clinical in front of goal. Who else as well? Like, I mean, Zenit St. Petersburg.
Sevilla dropped into it as well. They'll probably win it, knowing their record in the competition.
Madness. Anyway, we can move on into Europe. Anyway, not European competition. We move on into Europe. We'll go to Belgium. The only bit of action there. 2 games for Josh Cullen in the last couple of days. He played the full 90 minutes in both. Great to hear. He always seems to be starting for Anderlecht. They beat Serang 5-0 and they beat St. Truden 2-0. They're now up to third and they're 5 points off second. Club Brugge in second. A fallen joint, Anderlecht in a way are starting to come back a little bit.
Yeah, it's a very good sign. I mean, they're one of the giants of Belgian football. I talked about them before. I think that's 5 wins on the bounce now, and I think they're playing Bruges in the near, not this weekend, very soon anyway. So they're on a great run of form and great to see. And it sounds like they're coming back, and great for Josh Cullen. He's playing regularly. They're winning at the moment. And yeah, definitely. I mean, when you're talking about Belgian football, your traditional big 3 would be Anderlecht, Standard, and Bruges, of course.
Yeah, definitely. And look, fantastic stuff. Hopefully it continues for him. One more bit of information from Australia as well. Only one bit. Jay O'Shea played the full 90 as Brisbane Roar were beaten 1-0 by Western United. They're still bottom with only 1 point. Jay O'Shea, a very talented footballer in his days in the League of Ireland, along with Chesterfield as well. Gary, I'd say you have some memories of him.
Yeah, very, very talented player. I'd actually, to be honest, I'd forgotten where he was. I haven't paid too much attention to football down under. And yeah, great to see him still playing regularly anyway. But yeah, definitely a huge talent in his day.
Yeah, definitely. I agree myself. I remember seeing him play for Bray Wanderers and Galway United as well. That's it for the roundup anyway, but we will mention that there is the Nations League draw coming up this evening for the Republic of Ireland. Obviously, they are going to be in, it's like round B or something.
League B. It's League. We're in League B. Yeah.
League B, yeah. And I mean, we should be competitive in it. What do you think yourself, Gary? Before I go to you, we'll just mention we aren't doing a watch along for it, but Gary and Jer will have a review of the draw up after, so keep an eye on the channel for that. And Gary, what's your thoughts on the draw?
Yeah, so I'm really looking forward to it. I mean, it's probably the highlight. I mean, I know the people who are looking World Cup playoffs, etc. I am a big fan of international football, and obviously for ourselves, the Nations League is going to define next year. I mean, we have 6 games next year in the Nations League and a couple of friendlies, and that's it. So yeah, the draw is hugely exciting for me in a couple of different ways. I mean, I'll be looking at it from 2. The first thing is I want the best possible draw for Stephen Kenny and our national team. So, and for that, I mean, the best chance of actually winning our league group, which is hugely, hugely important. I think people underestimate how important this is. If we win our group, we will be second seeds in the draw for the Euro 2024 qualifying. A very good runners-up might also get us second seeds. Winning our group would also guarantee us a playoff for the Euros. I know the format hasn't been finalised and UEFA won't finalise it probably next June, but I think we can safely assume if you win your group, you will have a playoff for worst case. And I mean, for countries like Austria, who basically flopped incredibly badly in the World Cup qualifying, they're still in a World Cup playoff in March and could still end up in Qatar. So it's hugely important, and we definitely need to take it seriously. And I think it will be taken seriously this time. And we need to do well. So I mean, from that perspective, you're looking at it, you're hoping for the likes of an Iceland or maybe Bosnia from the top seeds. Second pot, probably Finland, maybe Scotland. I'm not as convinced. I think maybe Scotland are a little bit better than us at the moment, but I'm not as convinced that Scotland are really, really that good. They could well prove me wrong in March in the playoffs. The bottom pot, who do we want? I mean, I would hope we'd be capable of beating any of the teams from pot 4, but Albania might be a little bit tricky. They're a bit of a coming team, but I'd still hope we'd be capable of beating them. Then you look at it, maybe the other way I look at it is who would be really good for trip from a trips point of view. So from that perspective, Ukraine are maybe the one to get. We haven't played them before, and but Ukraine would be a terribly difficult draw. I mean, they were quarterfinalists in the Euros. They didn't do so well in their World Cup qualifying group. They've ended up in the playoffs because they had a lot of draws, but they drew twice with France and everything. So they'd be a very, very difficult team to get. I suppose I don't want Sweden either way from a quality point of view, or in fact, it would be a really, really expensive away trip for the fans as well. Pot B, I just want to avoid Russia because I think they'd be very difficult to beat. I think they're still a decent team. Bit unfortunate to miss out on World Cup direct qualification with that dreadful own goal. I was actually watching that in Luxembourg on my iPad before going out to the stadium. It was on early, and they looked all set to go through. Croatia had shot the bolt and a dreadful own goal. I wouldn't want
awful weather at that game as well. I remember it was terrible,
absolutely terrible. Yeah, it was teeming down with rain. The pitch probably wasn't playable as well, which didn't help. But anyway, I wouldn't fancy them either with the hassle of getting a Russian visa. So probably want to avoid. And from pot B, Norway, maybe not too bad from a football point of view, but again, a horrendously expensive away trip, even more expensive than Sweden. And,
yeah, but you mentioned Norway. You think of Haaland. I mean, listen, he could beat us on his own if he was up for it. He probably could. He probably.
Yeah,
could.
he could. But I mean, they're not. Look,
they're not the best of sides.
World class.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you're talking about a one-man team, they still finished a reasonable enough distant third in their World Cup. They're already out of the World Cup, so they're not the worst. I'd certainly, from a footballing perspective, I'd rather face Norway than face the likes of Russia. Because you don't always get what you want. Slovenia would be a new team to play as well from pot 4, and a new country for many fans. We haven't played Albania since the 1990s. I think, pretty sure on that. We haven't played Montenegro since played them 2008, 2009, and Slovenia, Albania, Armenia as well. Well, Armenia would be an absolutely. I love Armenia. Yerevan's a fantastic city, and that would be a fantastic trip. And I think they'd be very beatable. But I think we really need to be looking at winning our Nations League group, or at least coming a close second, because it's very important for seeding for Euro 2024 and hugely important. Important to avoid relegation, important for seeding, and hopefully to at least secure a playoff if we don't qualify directly for Euro 2024.
Yeah, definitely. It's important. I think every game we should try and do our best in as well, especially now that we've got a bit of a run of form. We should go at it and try get a few more results, regardless of whether it's a friendly, whether it's the Nations League, whether it's a qualifier. I think they should all be taken in the same capacity, and hopefully we get a decent draw, as you mentioned. I think you mentioned the likes of Iceland and Bosnia, probably teams who are out of form at the minute, have been better in recent years. We would like them. You mentioned Russia; they're always tough to beat, aren't they? I mean, even when people were saying they were terrible, they were World Cup quarterfinalists. So that's the way to look at it.
I don't want one. And another thing to avoid, another reason to avoid Russia and avoid the Ukraine as well, even though Ukraine would be a fantastic trip, is the political situation. And you would have a lot of uncertainty if we were playing either of those two countries, whether the game would go ahead, whether it would get moved, whether it would get played behind closed doors. So, yeah, definitely. I think, much as I'd love a trip to the Ukraine, I think avoid Ukraine this time. Avoid Russia, ideally. Yeah, Bosnia or Iceland from pot 1 for me. Finland, ideally, from pot 2. No, a little bit expensive, but a lovely country to visit. I was there for the women's game in late October, and fantastic trip. And love to go back there in the Nations League. And pot 4, I don't think they'll maybe avoid Albania, although I think that would be a nice little trip. They seem to have a magnificent new stadium, which is actually hosting the Europa Conference League final as well. And so maybe nice to go there and play there. The last stadium I was in, what was it, the Kamali or something like that? It was a bit crumbling, and I'm sure the new one is much better than that.
Yeah, definitely. Well, that's great. We'll wrap it up here, and we look forward to the review of the draw later on, Gary, with yourself and Jer. As I mentioned already, the review. What time are you doing that? It's live, is it? It's about 6 o'clock or something.
Yeah, about 6. I think we'll do it after the draw is over, and we'll do it pretty much straight away after that. Yeah. Brilliant.
Anyway, I just want to say thanks very much for jumping into the show today. Very enjoyable, and hopefully have you on again soon. And thanks very much to everyone watching. Great stuff. Keep an eye on the draw tonight and enjoy the football coming up.
Cheers, Paul.